In this lesson, I'm going to explain some of the basics of how harmony works in flamenco, Spanish music. Basically how you can generate chords and understand chord progressions that you hear in this music. So this will help you with improvising in that style, or figuring out what's going on when you listen to it. Being able to learn it more quickly. So the logical starting place is E major. You can think of this as the kind of home chord, the tonic, in most flamenco music. Obviously you can transpose this, so if you have a capo, let's say here, it would be G major. That's really common. Or you can do this in a barred position, but for now we'll just do it with E major, and you can figure it out on your own with the capo. So this is the first chord. Second chord. So those two chords, E major followed by F major, and then going back to E major. That's recognizably Spanish enough that most people, if they hear that, they'll say, oh yeah, that sounds Spanish. So, Okay. So third chord. Right. So you're just basically taking E major, moving it up to F, F major, G major, back to F major, back to E. Right. Now, the fourth chord that would come after that is A minor. So, you can play that either in this way, barred, right, or down here. Right? Again, G major, you can play it either like that or like that. So, this, like a common chord progression, would be A minor, G major, F major, E major, right, ending on E major. So, right, an alternative way to do that, in open position chords would be Okay, so now that's the very basics. I'll explain now some stuff that can make it more interesting. So, a really common way to make chords in Spanish music is to take chords that draw on notes from, multiple triad chords. So basically, something that you can think of it as like chords that are between E major and F major. That's a really common thing. So, here's one. Right. So now this chord, right, what it is basically F major without a bar. So you get these notes have F major, all the notes that are required in F major, and these notes are from E major. So it makes that kind of dissonant sound. So right, that's one thing that you can do. Another thing is to just add one F onto E major, right? So again, you get this really dissonant sound. So if you think about this stuff in terms of music theory, or like what these chords would be called in jazz, this would be added flat 9. You can think about it that way, or you can just think about it as an extra embellishment, right? So now we have these two chords, right? A third thing you can do is this, right? So we had this chord already, right? Now we're just adding the C in there. So again, this makes an F major 7 chord. Again, you can think about it as F major 7, or you can just think about it as an embellishment, right? So like if we, you can doodle around with just those ideas. So like. So basically, rather than moving from F major to E major, you're kind of moving all the notes one at a time, right? Okay, so that's one thing. Another common thing to do is take G major, go down chromatically, right? So there you're basically adding an F sharp major in between. Like between the G major and the F major. Okay, now, so to build, let's try and build some melodies on these chords. Basically, this chord progression, it's really easy to build melodies on. Basically, or if you're improvising over this, you can just improvise by using the, starting each phrase on the root note of each chord. So. So, the first time around I did that, I got this. Right, so let's say. So basically the melody is starting on, following directly the notes of the chords. If you do that in open chord position, like from here, that's harder to do. So basically if you want a high melody on the A minor, you can play it like this, right? If you want, if you want the melody to start more from here and then from here, you can use these open positions. Okay, so now let's look at one more embellishment that you can do to these chords, right? Since these are all major chords, right? The G major, F major, E major. You can basically make them dominant 7 chords, right? So that's your G major. If you lift this up, right? So I'll just play the bottom part to make that more visible. Especially, that last E, you can make it dominant 7 if you want it to move back to A minor, right? So then on top of that chord progression, you get this melody. Right? Okay, so this lesson has basically been, introducing this chord progression. Right, assuming that you already know all these basic chords, so A minor, G major, F major, E major. So, the idea is you learn that chord progression and then basic ways that you can embellish it on top of it. So, just to review some of the chords that we introduced are, here's the F major, right? So, F major without the bar. E major with an added F. F major 7 that has a C right here, right? And then these 2 open strings. So, right. And then, a couple basic other embellishments, so. And then also making these dominant 7s, so. So that's kind of the gist of the lesson, and then also that kind of descending melody that you can do, or if you do the open, if you do the open position chords, you can do a descending melody starting from E rather than starting from A. So next lesson I'm going to explain a couple different flamenco chord progressions, and also how you can do this in different keys.